10 years now. This is the power saloon car racing of South African motorsport. They're ready to go. They want this red light to turn. Long way down the road so they can start putting foot earlier. As they come towards us, the right-hand side of the road is Chris Aberdeen. On his left coming towards us is Sarel van der Merwe as he goes into the corner. Sarel got the jump on him, and Van der Merwe goes to the front. Van der Merwe's got Aberdeen as they go in there. As the Class C cars come through, and Anthony Taylor sorting themselves out. But Van der Merwe's gone in back up position as Terry Moss pushes his way through. Aberdeen in the front, Terry Moss, the two Rothmans out, he's leading. Van der Merwe saying he's lacking power here today. Oh, and we've got Gary Dunkley's gone off. The two Saybat cars are against the fence with Larry Wilford on the right-hand side in the yard. Well, what a great pity. That's taken a whole team out as they were going into Nashua Corner. But in the front, number 2, you can see it on the headlight. There's Chris Aberdeen. Terry Moss right up behind him. There's something more than anything else they want to do is beat Sarel van der Merwe, and they want to beat Ben Morgan-Ruud here today, who was something like a second, 1.2 seconds faster than them in practice. And here's some of that action coming up in the Nashua Corner there. Ben Morgan comes through, and Larry Wilford loses that big Saybat Audi, goes into Gary Dunkley in the Porsche as Anthony Taylor comes squeezing through with George Bezuidenhout right on his side. Back in the front, we've got Aberdeen, and we've got Terry Moss and Sarel van der Merwe rushing to keep up with them as they come into the AA Bowl. It's a 110 kilometre an hour corner. Morgan-Ruud's already moved up into hot spot, as you see. Hepburn is gone to 5th. It's Aberdeen and Moss. And here come the two Sasol cars, the Sasol Ford of Sarel van der Merwe. Similar colours, they've got those Sasol Jordan Racing colours, the Grand Prix colours. It's Aberdeen and 2. Moss is alongside him. Just behind him, and there's Sarel van der Merwe and Ben Morgan-Ruud. That screaming four-rotor Maz is something to hear going around the circuit. It's got a banshee wail as it goes round here, and pressing on behind. The action boy of Wesbank Modified Racing, Willie Hepburn, is back in that big V8 Opel record. And Wolford telling me a little bit earlier, the acceleration of that car is immense. It's Aberdeen starting to get away. When he's up in front, he's so fast and smooth, he's a very hard man to catch indeed. Moss is doing everything he can to late break. He looks in his mirrors, he sees Sarel, he also sees Ben Morgan-Ruud. And just listen to that scream of those four rotors. It's the only four-rotor Mazda engine racing in the world today. They won the Mars a couple of years ago. I see that Honda's going back there to have a go at the Mars, the 24-hour race as well this year. But Mazda's the only Japanese manufacturer to have won at Le Mans. They made 7 motors, and Morgan-Ruud, who's going for Van der Merwe, has got one of them. And Van der Merwe's holding him off as Morgan-Ruud gets that inside berth down the mine shaft. Aberdeen, Moss, still Van der Merwe in 3. No, it's not. It's Morgan-Ruud. I beg your pardon. Morgan-Ruud's gone through to 3. He got him as they went down the mine shaft. And Morgan-Ruud now chasing those two Rothmans Audis. Now he's going to look for a place to park. You hear the popping and squeezing. Speaking of those Rothmans Audis and that wailing rotary engine. That's the power of Wesbank Modified Racing coming at you now. It's a pity that Larry Wilford and Gary Dunkley have gone out of this race, but Willie Hepburn's thereabouts as well, lying in 5th spot. A little further back, Anthony Taylor's leading Class C. Jackson P in the Gearmax Skyline is leading Class B, as he's always done for years. They're getting V8s into this class. Hepburn will be racing one of those as well in the coming months. And Morgan-Ruud is attacking. Morgan-Ruud's attacking Moss, a hard man to pass at any time. Sarel's dropping back a wee bit. He complained that he just didn't have enough powers. He takes him and he's going for the front. 30-second penalty or not. Then Morgan-Ruud wants a double today. He's really pressing on this man from Randfontein. He's got a brilliant workshop where these cars are prepared. Second chassis in the making at the moment. You just heard that sound of that Mazda come past you. Very late break in. And when Morgan-Ruud's determined, he's determined. To have dealt with Moss so easily is something else. Looking for a place, picking his spot. He did it to Van der Merwe down the mine shaft before. Into the AA bowl he comes. And he's got him. He's pushing his way through. Aberdeen letting him go. He's using all the road. And this is the roughness. Pieces of the car go flying down the road, but that doesn't worry Ben Morgan. And Moss is starting to attack Aberdeen, his teammate. Van der Merwe's a little further back. He's about 3 seconds behind them now. And he just slides it out. We are halfway through this race, and Ben Morgenrud is in the front. Penalty or not, he's going for a double. And that Sassel Mazda, that four-rotor Mazda, is really hauling. He suffered badly from a miss last year. It was very bad indeed. Every meeting he'd come out after 2 or 3 laps would start missing. It was ruined his chances. He's been a Wesbank champion in this class before. It's Ben Morgenrud. Used to do oval track racing. See the Fram Sierra sitting at the side of the road. That's Beck Duckham from Peter Marisburg. Sorrel just hasn't got the power. There's Ivarot, King Williamstown, the hyperspace car. That's the ex-Sorrel Van der Merwe car. Here's the, and here's the news. Johan could see in that gearback Skyline has got Anthony Taylor in that Sprinter. There's the new colour scheme. That youngster with Dave Repsol on his tail. A little further behind is George Bazadno. And Johan could see looking for another car maybe to try and get an Audi to drive in the Class A. We'd love to have him up in Class A. He's an all-action driver. Could see in that Skyline. It's done so well. There's the Automark car. That's the Dave Repsol car. He's the champion in this class. He's gone back to the family colours. That's pink. His brother Fred, who races a powerboat, also races with a pink boat. And he's gone back. That's the colour that was lucky. Stands out very nicely. Based on some of those American NASCARs, this colour scheme. Here's a talented little driver, Anthony Taylor. Came second in this class last year to the champion Repsol in Class C. That's for 2.5-litre motor cars. And Repsol, he can really press on. Came from oval tracks many years ago. And he's a press-on competitors, Dave Repsol. That's a view as we look up the Wesbank corner of the circuit. It's been packed here today with the racing. The rain clouds started to threaten some of the thunderstorms, but they thankfully kept away before these cars got on the circuit. And there they are again. That's the Class D dice. That's the 1400cc cars, new wheels on those cars. We've got Dave Runkle. There's Patrick Seddon. He comes from Queen Williamstown in the little Opel. That's Charles Wilkin. He won the class. He's a student from Pretoria. That's him in that little Sprinter. 1300 new chassis. He got there, drove the Conquest last year. Dave Runkle from Cape Town is on his tail, and looking for a way through is Patrick Seddon in the little Opel Cadet. Spreading out onto the Wesbank shelf. They start braking just before that shelf, and Seddon goes through to take Runkle. Seddon has gone for Runkle there. As they come out, as Seddon got him, is he going to hold that position? He's better placed as they go down the mine shaft. They'll be going down there to over 160 in these little 1400s. He got him. Runkle just closes the door. Into the AA Bowl they go. Fine little drive at one stage. Runkle was leading the Class D Championship until these Toyotas came along. Charles Wilkin drives in standing Group N as well, and has done very well in this Roger Taylor prepared 1300cc Sprinter. Seddon is looking for a way through. Ernie Vermarken behind him in another one of those Golfs. Here they come. There's Vermarken moving out. And the leaders are due any time as you get into the final stage of the race. And here they are, Morgenrud getting through the traffic. It's still Aberdeen second and Mosler in third spot. So Ben Morgenrud from way back then, 30 seconds behind them at the start, has come through, pushed his way past the likes of talent like Sorrel Van der Merwe and Moss and Aberdeen, and got to the front, and he's going to do the double for the day. The miss is gone. That engine sounds as crisp as you can get it. He comes towards us. Around the Goodyear Sunset corner, and then they accelerate towards Clubhouse. He's still trying very, very hard. It's going to be a hard car to beat in Wesbank modified racing this year. Aberdeen on 2. There's Moss, third position, and there's another Class D dice. Behind Brian Maunders in there. And Ernie Vermark is in there too, in this 1400cc. Morgenrud seems to settle down, but those two Rothmans Audis are putting on the pressure. No doubt they're not going to just let him walk away with this altogether. Class Class C cars also still being led by Taylor. Pity that Pat Duckham's gone in that Fram Sierra. Oh, and he's starting to get very ragged there. Very, very ragged indeed. Is Terry Moss. He's pressing on as hard as he can. Looks like the tires are starting to go off. Shows that he's the Wesbank champion, the number 1 on his doors. And he is really trying. Right, here we are. Dave Repsol's in front of Anthony Taylor. The two of them press on. Almost identical motor cars. They rev to about 9,500 RPM. The one of Taylor's used to rev to at about 10.5. Got carburetors on them now instead of fuel injection. And they have been putting on this sort of show wherever they appear, anywhere around the country. It's a Sprinter in front. It's the Automark car of Dave Repsol in second position. 6 laps are gone. We've got a lap and a half to go. So we're coming to the final stages of this race, and Repsol's equally got an equal amount of power in this car by the look of it. He's really hanging on there to Anthony Taylor. There's a talented young man. Won the Formula GTI Championship. Was looking to go for a Class A car as Repsol goes through. Repsol's gone into the lead. And whether they drive for Toyota or not, they are certainly, there's no love lost between these two. Young Anthony Taylor. At 16 years old, he was winning kart racing championships and then got into single-seaters in the GTRs. He's our first GTR champion. Very, very talented young driver. And there's Ivor Roche now coming through. There's the Hyperspeed. That's the Exol Panamera turbocharged Sapphire. It's got a Cosworth engine, turbocharged. Aberdeen goes through in second spot. There's Terry Moss. And there's Ben Morgan. He has got this all to himself. He's now up to 7 seconds ahead of the Rothmans Audis. Are they coming to side here? They come from the side of the road. And that is Aberdeen and Moss. And Moss seems to not be able to do anything about Aberdeen. Aberdeen, certainly when he gets on a roll, particularly when he's in the front, he really can go. We're on to the last lap. It's an 8 lapper. That's 34 kilometers this race. And Moss hasn't given up. As you can see him driving that motor car around Nashua, that double left-hander. And Repsol still in the front. They've got a lap and a half to go. At least those other cars catch and lap them, which is most unlikely. So Anthony Taylor must be making a plan. He'll be desperately making plans. There's no communication with the pits. He's got to decide for himself up there. Moss in third. Aberdeen's ahead of him. But now these cars, with all the talk in the off-season, now know the pace of the others. They know Morgan Root is more than a threat. The first time he took it to East London at the Grand Prix circuit there last year, he went out and won, and then that terrible miss set into the motor, and he'd blast for 2-3 laps, and then the miss used to come in and really start it. But that car has been stripped right down as he goes through down the mine shaft into the AA Bowl. Here he is, looking relaxed. American-built motor car, 4-rotor engine, and a great performance. The flag awaits there. Ben Morgan, who doubled for the day. A great way to start the season. It started like this for Sorrel Panamera last year, and it's going to be for Ben Morgan this year. And you can see him pouring on the power there. These cars are producing Grand Prix type horsepower, 600 plus horsepower. He gets the flag, a double for him.